For our legal perspective on all this, we're joined from Los Angeles, California by criminal defense attorney Neil Shouse. He was a former deputy district attorney for Los Angeles County. Neil, good to have you with us. Let's start with the video. How significant is it?
Well, I'll tell you this, Antonio. Both sides in this case are going to put their own spin on the release of the video and its significance. For Michael Brown's family and his lawyers and the community activists, obviously they're going to say, and they are saying, that this is a smear campaign by the police to impugn his character, that it has no real significance to his encounter with the officer, and that it certainly doesn't justify shooting an unarmed man, possibly from behind as he was running away. On the other hand, the officer and perhaps the department are going to say that this video depicts somebody. I mean, first of all, in the video, Michael Brown looks, he's a big guy, he's intimidating looking, and secondly, his demeanor is angry, it's combative, it's violent, his behavior is out of control. And they'll say, look, it's much easier to believe that somebody in this sort of demeanor would attack an officer and pose a threat to an officer.
All right, let's break it down. There is total confusion about what Sergeant Wilson knew when he stopped Michael Brown. The police chief first said that the stop wasn't about the robbery, that it was because the two men were walking in the middle of the road, but then the chief said that the officer might have seen the cigar boxes and connected it to the robbery. Let's listen.
As he passed them, I guess that's when he might have seen the evidence and connected it. But his initial contact was strictly pedestrian.
What do you mean, seen the evidence?
There was a broadcast that went out about a stealing, and there were cigars stolen, a couple boxes of cigars.
Does it make a difference, Neil, if during the incident the officer figured out that Brown was a robbery suspect?
It does, and it's sort of like the old question, what did he know and when did he know it? If, in fact, it turns out that he was aware or did suspect that this was the person who committed the robbery, then absolutely he had more reason to believe that this person is potentially violent, potentially dangerous, is a fleeing felon, and that would probably justify him using a greater level of force to protect himself and to subdue the suspect. Now certainly not killing somebody unnecessarily, certainly not shooting somebody from behind if that turns out to be the case, but definitely it would give the officer some more leeway in terms of justifying his use of force.
Now, you've been involved in both the prosecution and defense of police officers. If the officer had been hit by Brown, does that make a difference legally, especially if Brown, as witnesses have said, might have been raising his arms and surrendering?
Well, this is what it all boils down to at the end of the day, is what was going on at the moment that the officer pulled the trigger. So if there was a struggle taking place and Brown was hitting the officer at that moment and trying to go for his gun, then that does certainly make a difference. If, on the other hand, there was a struggle that took place, but as some witnesses have said, Brown at that point sort of pushed away and was running away, and the officer pursued him from behind and shot him, then no. I mean, none of the struggle and none of the prior conduct would justify shooting a person in that circumstance. So everything's really going to turn on this sort of disputed right now, factual inquiry as to what exactly was going on at the moment that the trigger was pulled.
How about Michael Brown's state of mind? What does the alleged robbery have meaning there? If he robbed the store, could he have thought he was being stopped for that? And if he did, would that make a difference?
It might make a difference because, I mean, certainly to the extent that he had just committed a robbery, he may have been worried that he was going to be arrested and charged with a very serious felony. That may have made him more desperate to get away. That may have made him more willing to use force to resist arrest. So ultimately, the fact of the robbery may have real significance not only to the officer's state of mind, but also to Michael Brown's state of mind.
Now, you've been involved in these investigations. Why did police, who said they had this video for days, take so long to release it? And why haven't they even said how many times the police officer discharged his weapon?
Well, I personally don't understand from a PR perspective why they wouldn't just release all the evidence as soon as they had it, be very open, be very transparent in this case. But I think that there probably were legal considerations. I mean, first of all, they wanted to be absolutely certain that it was Michael Brown who's depicted in the video before they sort of released it and told the public that it was. So there are legal and tactical considerations. But frankly, I mean, it's a piece of evidence, at least from a PR perspective, that I think supports the department and supports the officer, and I'm surprised that it was not released earlier.
Yeah, a lot of questions about how they're handling all this. Neil Shouse, really a pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
My pleasure.